The
Hey, you're tuned in to Live at 5. And before we jump into today's guest, I just want to remind you that this show is only possible because of the generosity and support of amazing people like you. Continue to support us by subscribing to this YouTube channel, clicking the link to donations and merchandise in the bio below, and by spreading the word about our shows. Thanks again, and enjoy. Hello and welcome to Live at 5. We are live at 5 on this Easter Sunday. It's a sunny day in London. We had some. This is the extent of my weather forecasting. We had some rain, but it's over now, which is great. We're joined today by our special guest and also by our producer Darcy O'Connor in Clapton, who's looking. He's looking very stylish today, I have to say. Darcy, you've done something. You've broken down a wall in the wardrobe department.
Oh, thanks, Giacomo. I got a haircut.
I was more referring to your jaquette de travail.
Merci.
Which means oh yes, that's very French of you. I was thinking I was just cleaning the house a little bit today, and I actually found my skateboard, and I was wondering if maybe you'd want to go skateboarding with me
Sure.
At some point after. Yeah. So this is mine. I'll have this is my one, and you can have this. This is the pink one, and I'll have the white one.
Great. I love it.
Yeah, we can go after. You know, it'll be our hour of exercise. You know.
I'm happy to do that.
I mean, they're not real skateboards, but
no, I can tell.
It's still really fun. Look at those. I mean, I only spent 2 hours polishing the bearings, but oh well. Anyway, moving along. Our special guest today is a great friend and saxophonist, Rachael Cohen. And before she joins us, we're going to jump into a video that she sent us earlier of a tune that I love. That I used to think was the theme song or had to do something with the movie Gone with the Wind, but actually has nothing to do with it and came out years before. But we can talk about all that later. This is Rachael Cohen on Gone with the Wind. We're back live at 5, and that was Rachael Cohen on Gone with the Wind, joined by Dave Archer on guitar, Ferg Ireland on bass, and Will Glazer on the drums. And we were just trying to pinpoint when that was. I think it's, Rachel, you were saying that it's 20, you think it's 2017?
I thought it was 2018, but then we're trying to remember about where the piano or pianos were and all this kind of stuff. It could even be 2017. It was definitely summer. I remember it being warm. I remember. Right. I remember.
It was definitely at Smitty's.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, unmistakably, yeah. It was. I remember that gig really well. Actually, I think it was something like we were even gonna try and have a rehearsal for that, because it was a kind of throw together band, or it might not have even been my gig. It might have been Dave's gig, or I can't remember that much. But I just brought loads of charts and just kind of threw them at.
That's funny,
the guys, and they just kind of sight read through everything, and it was I just remember it being so much fun, that gig. It was really great. It was great.
It's funny, you know you're getting serious with a band when you actually talk about having a rehearsal. It's like, hey, maybe we should like
get
play
better
when we're not getting paid. This would be amazing.
Yeah, man. Well, it really roots out, your true feelings. When either you ask other people and they go, yeah, no. Or people ask you and you're like, so is it paid?
Yeah. Well, it's such a terrible feeling when you do ask someone and they're like, oh, sorry, man, I have a lot of projects going on right now. So it's like, oh, no.
Do you rehearse for them too?
it's like I wish I hadn't gone out on a limb for that one.
It's funny. I mean, it's delusions of grandeur sometimes, isn't it? Thinking that you can have rehearsal for every gig, right?
I know, and it's it's funny. It's a thing about the blessing and the curse of the London scene is that, and I came here, 9 years ago, very, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, thinking, wow, this is just great. I want to play with everyone. I want to do this. Yeah. And I didn't realize what kind of scene it was, because where I had lived before, people would get together for plays all the time. Yeah. They had no gigs. You'd have
right.
They had three, 4 gigs a month. So you'd be in 4
if you weren't playing with other people, what were you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It was like if I never asked you this.
Yeah. So I grew up in the Shetland Islands, which is the very, very top of Scotland, as far as you can go before you get to the sea that leads you to Norway, basically. And I lived there until I was about 12, so that's 99. I moved to Edinburgh, and I did high school and everything there. And then I went to Birmingham. I went to the conservatoire in Birmingham. Right. And then did their course there, met loads of wicked people there. And then I moved to London. I think it was the very start of 2013, I think.
Wow, okay, right.
Yeah, I think it was.
So just after me.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I sense a trend. You're gradually moving south. Right. So eventually you're going to end up in
I'm going to end up in Spain, and then Tunisia, and then exactly, right. I'll be warm eventually. I'll be warm. Yeah.
It's a great migration. Amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, London is really funny. I mean, I found that as well when I moved here. I just like getting together with people, just shoving everybody in a little room and just getting on with it, and it's not, I mean, a part of me feels like it's not people's reluctance to do it, but people get used to saying that they can't do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like they have a filing cabinet for all of the times that they've said that they should get together and have a play and don't. Yeah, and then they have a filing cabinet for all the things that they actually have to do and don't do that either. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, people don't, sometimes, But then, I mean, you can't sacrifice actual work, you know.
No,
but,
no, of course not. No,
but
I think it's harder that everybody lives so far apart. You know, I mean, it's
yeah,
you know, we're all in London right now, but
yeah.
if I wanted to get to you without, you know, with even on public transportation, it would take
at least an hour. Yeah.
So, and that's,
Yeah.
you know, that's not even the farthest you can go. So I think,
No,
you know, when you live in a smaller city, people will just, you know, hop on a bike or walk or whatever, and it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I found it in New York. You know, I mean, you know about that. You know, I mean, it feels like it's a bigger city than London in some ways, right? But it's not. I mean, it's not at all. You know,
Right.
and once you kind of spatially, but also once you kind of cotton on to the whole straight line thing in New York, you're like, well, I'm just going to sit on a train for 80 blocks, which is about 15 stops, you know, and I'll just get off, and you'll be fairly close by where you need to be. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you know, it's a slightly different thing. So you see people just going north to south, north to south, north to south, north to south for plays, for different things all the time.
Right.
You know, but even then, you know, I was kind of, you know, I remember going out there the first couple of times, and when people would say, "Yo, we should get together for a play," and I'd be like, "Yeah, sure," and they'd get their diary out, and I'd be like, "Oh, so you actually want to get together for like?" Yes, it's you know, it's almost like the jazz musician's compliment, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Getting
and
the diary.
we're never going to act on it, but you know, we should really get together for a play. That's almost like a gold star for, you're good enough for me to suggest
I know, right?
this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we'll do it. But it's really funny, you know. But I mean, I had a lot of good plays with people in New York just because they acted on it.
I'll tell
you know
you,
what I mean? Which, you know, it's just funny.
The thing I love about New York geography, especially Manhattan, is how hard it is to get lost, because
I don't know about
signs,
that.
Well, look, I mean, if you need to be on, you know, 103rd Street, and the sign above you says 96, then all you have to do is go one more. Well, you only have to go one more block.
One way.
You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Whereas in London, get off at South Woodford Station sometime.
Yeah.
And tell me how to get anywhere.
Yeah, I know.
Anywhere.
I know.
First of all, in London, you can't find a street sign anywhere. And sometimes
yeah, I know. Well, I mean,
hard.
I think, it's weird. I mean, the thing is that it's not this, that you can have one road that goes on forever, but there's no kind of indication that you're still on the same road. If you know what I mean,
it's like names 6 times.
It's like Kingsland Roads goes from Old Street to like Bounds Green. You know what I mean? Where, and you would not think that you're on the same place, but in New York, it's either you're on Broadway.
Yeah.
And you're still on Broadway. And you're still on Broadway. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you sympathize with me, because I was thinking that maybe there was some kind of language barrier problem.
No, not at all. Not at all. I know a lot of New Yorkers sort of dumbfounded at how complicated London is. And they're right, you know, it's a very strange place.
Well, let's jump into some more music from Rachael. This is her own composition, and Rach, I'll let you introduce it so I don't get it wrong and it gets.
Oh yeah, this is a little contrafact that I wrote over Stablemates called "Save the Snakes."
Save the Snakes.
Save the Snakes.
And we're back.
We're back.
Live at 5, and we're back. And
we're back.
we're with Rachael Cohen
Hello.
and with Darcy O'Connor, and we were having a little chat just then about what the Easter Bunny brought us. Darcy, what did the Easter Bunny bring you?
He brought me some Easter eggs.
Okay.
That
Well, that you know what that makes.
It's like
it's an egg,
it's an
and
actual
it's
egg.
Easter.
Well, you see, bunnies don't lay eggs like that. That's a chicken egg, and he's stolen that. Unless you have monster bunnies in Clapton.
So you can
In
say
which
monster
case-
chicken.
Enormous.
Monster chicken.
Rachel, what'd you get from the Easter Bunny?
Nothing actually.
Oh well, I have an
No.
extra skateboard.
Oh,
I was gonna give it to Darcy, but he wasn't very enthusiastic.
I think he's got enough from the Easter Bunny, but it looks.
Yeah, I think we should just keep your egg and stay away from
Yeah,
me.
I think we can
This is
go
amazing.
skateboards.
Oh man, that'd be great. Yeah, this is also a really good hand massage for those of you
I like
at home.
that.
If you want to order some mini skateboards, you can come skating with me and Rachel and massage
Yeah.
your hand when you're quarantined.
Visual skating, yeah, love that.
So enough skating, I guess. Back to the
Enough
saxophone.
Skating, saxophone.
Yeah. So did you? We were just talking about the kind of silver lining of this whole experience with the quarantining is that we're all kind of documenting more. We're trying to kind of retain some stuff and learn from ourselves and kind of there's a lot of videos of people practicing in their bedrooms, and I could do with a few less, but I'm glad that they're doing it. And,
yeah, right.
And there's things like this. A lot of people are doing podcasts, and we were talking about how you don't really know the value of these things until years later when you look back.
Hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah. So what were those? We were just talking about some interviews with Coltrane and with Charlie Parker. Talk a little bit about that, because I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I kind of think, I used to. If you think about the first time that you ever heard Charlie Parker speak, so you probably heard him play his horn more than you ever heard him talk. So the first time that you hear those people actually speak, I think is really, really amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's really crazy, because it's even, as saxophone players, and same with Train, like you don't notice the Train's actually got a lisp.
Wow.
Right. So it actually changes the whole shape of their mouth, because you're just used to looking at them either with a horn in their mouth or in a black and white photo, right? So when you actually hear them speak, just like you don't really see that many color photographs of people either. So when you try and imagine, those people were not living in black and white; they were living in color. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a really weird thing, but those interviews, I think, especially for them, they didn't come from an era where you could document everything in the blink of an eye. You know what I mean? So to hear them talking, the Coltrane interview that we specifically were just talking about, there's a few Train interviews. There's one of him on the radio, I think, in Japan. And then there's maybe one other, but then there's one that was being recorded by somebody, and I can't remember this guy's name, which is terrible, but he was being recorded and he didn't realize, basically, in Coltrane's home. The interview's really long. They get into some real kind of serious subjects. The interviewer asks him, how do you feel about your own playing? How do you feel about your kind of this kind of thing, and Train was saying, I suppose you always think, like, when will it be me? When will it be me that kind of, when will it be my time? You know what I mean? And, thinking about all these kind of concepts that all musicians think about. You know what I mean? Wow. So it's amazing to hear that from somebody that is so kind of crystallized in this kind of legend kind of state. You know what I mean? To actually hear them talking about how they really feel. You know what I mean? And that's how he really felt, because he didn't know that he was being recorded, and I'm sure he wouldn't have changed too much either. But to hear people really talk about those kind of things, and similarly in that Parker interview with Paul Desmond, how he talks about education, you know,
Right.
how the education should be something that is for everybody, is the most beautiful thing, you know, that exists, you know, is to be educated. Because for people like that, it wasn't always given freely either, because of, you know, their time in history, you know what I mean? So it's really, you know, it's really fascinating. And I suppose, you know, I mean, the things that we all do now will be looked at in this, you know, you know, to document things, I think is still just as important. You know, I think the
Well, I
problem
think
that we
it's important for, you know, okay, I mean, you know, not there's no assumption that in 50 years somebody will want to listen to this podcast to hear what we're, you know, to see
Sure.
me, you know, skateboarding on my head. That you never know. I mean,
But you never know.
but you know, I think that the thing that is great about it is that you capture a moment in time and then you can learn from it later. So it's like
Yeah,
keeping a diary,
exactly.
or it's kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, and the
Yeah.
thing that you say about hearing those people's voices, I couldn't agree more. And that's a
Yeah.
really profound idea. And
Yeah.
I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But you know, these you know, that Parker interview, I mean, Parker died in like what, 54, 56?
Yeah, it's 54, I think. Yeah.
So you're looking at, you know, what, 80, you know, 80, no, 60, 65 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
Do you know what's an even crazier thing though? Is that what are the chances that they heard those interviews back themselves?
Yeah.
Because we hear the sounds of our own voices all the time. But do you remember being a kid when you were, you know, I remember being at school and you could record, you know, you had to record yourself saying a set, you know, in French or in something, you know what I mean? You had to record it and then play it back, and you were like, that's not me.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not what I sound like. And it is what you sound like, of course, but it's just not what you sound like in your own head. You know, so you know, it was even like there was oh God, what was I thinking of the other day? There was you know, oh, that was it, like bootlegs, you know, like of Parker and Train and all those, you know, we can hear bootlegs of things all the time because they get shared around in an instant, you know. But the chances of those guys ever hearing themselves playing from a recording that wasn't done in a studio, you know what I mean? All those kind of, I just, you know, that kind of stuff fascinates me, you know, just because it was just it's a period in time that won't ever exist again, obviously, because we've gone way down the rabbit hole in technological advances, which is incredible. You know, we wouldn't be able to do this otherwise. You know, totally. but it's those real kind of, you know, you wonder if things will be held onto with the same kind of sacred kind of feeling, you know, from now as they were, you know, then.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah,
I'll tell you one other series of recordings that I think are amazing, and they're home recordings, and they once again they kind of help you understand the person so much better. Are the Louis Armstrong used to record himself on 1/4-inch tape at home, just practicing. He would record, you know, he would record himself talking to his wife when she was cooking dinner, or he was interviewing with somebody else, or and the reason those are, I mean, I think he had more of he wasn't you don't get the impression that he was a big-headed guy, but I think he had the impression that he would be remembered when he was gone. And it was almost like he was recording these tapes to kind of set the record straight. And he talks, obviously, you know, people kind of shamed Louis Armstrong a bit in the African American community in the 60s and a bit before that for you know, Uncle Tomming, because he would smile and do his routine in front of, you know, audiences, you know. And it's funny because on these tapes he's, and you know, I mean, you could make a case for him having done more, sure, or I'm sure there's a dissertation to be written on that. But
yes, absolutely, yeah.
The interesting thing is on these tapes, and once again, the value of these archival materials is that he's very outspoken about racism, and so
I bet.
So it's kind of
yeah,
it's an amazing document to have, and it helps the person better as a character. So.
I mean, it's really, it's really difficult. It must have been excruciating at points for those guys back then, actually. To be able to try and fulfill your own needs, your own mission with what you're trying to do, and still entertain and please everybody, because you were characterized, if you were somebody that was given many performance opportunities, it was always at a cost. It was never just be yourself. It was never just given to people like that. So and it's very, it must have just been really difficult, so but that's very smart of him to have done that also, because not everybody will have had recording equipment in their house. Not everybody will have had those things. So to really take the initiative and just have snippets of yourself being yourself at home, is really smart, because they are remembered and documented, and so it's amazing.
So we're going to jump into another track from Rachael that's a great one from the height of the civil rights movement in America, and this is from Jackie McLean. It's the Freedoms.
Oh no, wait.
We're not playing that?
No. So this track is actually a composition of mine.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it's called For Sweet Freedom. So it was influenced. So Rollins's Freedom Suite is excused.
Sorry, I was just busy skateboarding.
So Sonny Rollins' Freedom Suite is one of my favorite records, and all of those. So aside from this Freedom Suite, he also does like Shadow Waltz and Will You Still Be Mine, and all these really kind of like quirky, weird, waltzy tunes, which I just always found really, really sweet. So I wrote this, which is a waltz. It's kind of quick, but it's called For Sweet Freedom. Yeah.
For Sweet Freedom by Rachael Cohen.
Sweet Freedom.
We hope you enjoy it.
Can you give us? Can you do this? Can you give us like 8 of like questions?
was Rachael Cohen with her own tune. Tell me what it's called again.
For Sweet Freedom.
For Sweet Freedom. Great.
Yeah.
Great title. Great tune. I think
Thanks, man.
you sound killer on that, and Dave sounds particularly ripper.
He was really going for it, because I remember he was just
Ripper.
having to. He was. There we are. Sorry. He was just sight reading, so he was just blasting through it, man. Wow. It's great. It's great.
Blasting. I love that. I'm gonna tell him that. Like, Dave, could you just blast through this like you did on Rachel's gig? Because he sounded really good on that.
I could not imagine how confused Dave would look if you said all of that to him at once.
Like,
sorry, what?
Dave, if you're watching, we miss you.
Love you, Dave.
Love you.
Yeah. Oh man. And as I say, that.
But I love you more.
So fun.
They all love you.
No, I love you the most.
No, I got you a skateboard.
That's true.
Yeah. See?
Ours is real. Ours is real.
So we've been asking people who come on the show, and I think it's a really good question to kind of talk about various influences and playing and just kind of why we do what we do. And it's actually Darcy's question, but it's what kind of experiences have you had, musical experiences that have humbled you or have really had an impact on you throughout your development?
I mean a few things. I was thinking about this earlier, actually. The first time I ever hosted the Late Show at Ronnie Scott's, and it was less about the actual gig and more. I mean, you know what it's like down there. When you do the gig on somebody else's night, you just turn up and play, and it's cool, But when you have to host, you have to do the whole thing. Are you there? You've got a bit black, actually.
I just have to go to my video.
Oh, is your video gone a bit funny? That's okay. There you are. Hello.
I'm back.
The hosting thing was really funny. I remember practicing what I was going to say in front of the mirror, because I was I was breaking it, because I when I was younger, I never liked talking on the mic. I never liked kind of presenting and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, I can't not like it for something like this. You're in control of everybody. You know what I mean? And you're in control of remembering everybody's name. God damn it.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Do you remember who you were playing with?
Oh my God.
Lionel Hampton's trick for that, right?
No.
He just called everybody Gates.
Oh, right.
You don't have to remember anybody's name. It's just
right.
And on drums we have my man Gates. Gates on drums. Just like it's great.
But that I mean, who was I playing with on that front? Oh God, I don't even know. I mean, I must have been hosting down there for at least 5 years. It could be anybody, but so that was a really humbling kind of development for me, actually, just getting that together. Like really getting it together, Well,
it's bridging the gap between, what you've practiced your whole life to be able to do on your instrument and entertainment.
And entertain, exactly. And I think
that's a profound thing,
Definitely, I think a lot of people, I've done some gigs with people, and their mic's chat is just awful. And I think they, I mean, I won't lie. I mean, I've done gigs with people where I'm like, good Lord, because it really kills the vibe. It kills the vibe. It can't just be, it can't just be about what you're doing. You have to present yourself properly. You have to present the whole thing. Otherwise, why are we all here? We know that you're going to play well.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that that's the guaranteed bit. We want all the extra stuff too.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing that it does. I mean, if you have an enthusiastic, you said that it kills the vibe if somebody has a bad, rapport on the mic, but it really
can.
and it really kills the vibe for the band. You know?
Yes,
So
exactly.
the band is standing there on stage, feeling embarrassed that they're on stage with that person, and then in turn the whole performance goes into this kind of
you can't have musicians going
place.
inwards because they want to run away from what's going on. You know, so you have to, you know, and so but you can learn that skill from people as well, you know. You know, just learning people, watching people, watching how people at gigs that you go to see do it. You know what I mean? You know, and that's a whole, and that's why people laugh at me, you know, when I say I practice in front of the mirror. It's like, all right, well, you obviously haven't practiced in front of the mirror. You know what I mean? That's all I'm going to say, because, you know, I did that for a reason, you know, because that's what I had to do, because I wasn't very good at it. So I shedded that shit.
You just shed it.
You know,
You know,
because, and now it's good. And that has changed my whole performance thing, because it's not like I just do it for that gig. You know what I mean? Now I do that for all of my gigs. You know what I mean? It's you know, it changes your capability, you know what I mean, and what you can do, you know. And then, you know, I mean, I suppose other humbling experiences are, you know, doing gigs that I've been given in New York, you know, have been great. I remember, because people just go about things differently, you know what I mean? People, you know, there's a level of expectation, you know, and, you know, and I mean, I always feel like I play differently out there anyway, you know. It's just different. It's just different. You know what I mean? You know, I have less time while I'm there, so there is less time to sound shit. So, you know what I mean? So you know, you just kind of have to turn it on immediately and sound good right then. Right. Now, you know what I mean? Like, don't.
But I
and
would
nobody's
guess
going to say good job either. They're not going to say that. You know
right.
They'll say nothing.
But
probably.
I guess that you kind of you're probably more enthusiastic as well when you're there. So you kind of go in with more of a flood of excitement, which is good, you know.
Adrenaline is running all the time. It's funny. I mean, I
can really work in your favor, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely, because it goes straight to your concentration bank. You know what I mean? And you focus on what you're doing in that moment, you know, and nothing else. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, high functioning concentration. You know what I mean? You know, because and also because, you know, I was very shy when I went, you know, out to New York for the first couple of times. Not in like groups of people, but I was on my own a lot. You know what I mean? So, you know, I was just a little girl on a date with her saxophone, trying to sit in at stuff, and people are, oof, you know what I mean? So I really had to, you know, you can't just sit there all night, can you? You've got to, you know. But that's what, you know, that's what teaches you about it. Is I didn't have anybody there the couple of times that I was in New York trying to play. You know, I didn't have all of my friends from the UK or all of my friends from here. I didn't have any of that. I just had like a vodka. And
that's a friend.
It was a very good, deep friend. You know, but it's, you know, but the gigs that I've done out there since then have been great. You know, there's a great trumpeter, actually, I'll shout him out, Greg Glassman. He's a great trumpeter who has a quintet and a quartet that play at Fat Cat every Thursday and Saturday. And the guy is just ridiculous. You know, I mean, his you know, kind of wealth of knowledge on everything is amazing. Composition's amazing, you know, and we'll just, you know, just run through a set, you know. Nobody's telling you what tune they're playing. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, so just getting on board with that kind of stuff is so fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know,
feels good.
Well, you can feel your brain working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can feel your
like
brain,
jazz
like
Sudoku.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like figure it out. You know what I mean?
Darcy just got a Nintendo Switch, which is going to work wonders for.
You've got one.
Where's my? I don't have my Switch, but my sister actually did a coronavirus drop off the other day of my Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
DS.
on one hand you have Fat Cat, on the other hand you have the DS, the brain age, it's all going on.
Listen, I try and keep it diverse.
And I have my skateboard.
Oh my goodness.
Great.
We're
going to jump into some more music before I skate away. And this is Rachael playing a solo rendition of a Duke Pearson tune called
I Care. I Care.
I Care. This is Rachael. And we're back live at 5 with Rachael Cohen. We're back. And we're wrapping up the show today with our record of the day, which is actually relates to something we mentioned earlier. It's a Charlie Parker record. Isn't that right, Darce?
That's right. I picked the record.
Do you want to tell the story?
Today. Yeah, I will. Yeah. So when I first started working at Smitty's, I think maybe must be in the first month was when I met Rachael, and she was playing. I must have been a Friday night or a Saturday night, and she played "In the Mood for Love." And my favorite version of that tune is on this record, Charlie Parker, The Genius of Charlie Parker, Volume 2, April in Paris, which is one of the Charlie Parker with Strings albums. And I remember that was, it was just really nice. It was one of the first times that I'd really recognized a tune at a show. And you may not remember it, but we talked about Charlie Parker for like 5 minutes after that, and it was a really nice memory. And I think I made you a rum with like ginger and lemon because you were a bit sick.
Oh, yes. Oh, man, that's so nice. That's so sweet. You remember that. That's great, man. Yeah, and that tune as well. That's my jam. That is my jam.
It's a good
Love
song.
that.
Yeah.
Good pick.
But yeah, there's heaps of great tunes on that record. April, like the title track, April in Paris, is really, really beautiful. And I just think it shows, you know, obviously like Charlie Parker is one of the, you know, godfathers of bebop, but it shows just how versatile of a player he was, you know, to be playing with these like orchestras or like, you know, string sections.
Oh yeah.
And it sounds like, you know, like cinematic and like a movie soundtrack. It's really quite beautiful.
That was his favorite records.
Oh right.
With the strings. That was his favorite. That was his favorite thing. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So Genius of Charlie Parker Volume 2, April in Paris. That's my pick for today.
And we will add that to our Live at 5 playlist. So if you click the link in the bio below, you'll see a link to a whole bunch of things. And the bottom one is a link to that playlist. And it has all tracks from all of our different guests and tracks that we've featured on the show throughout its tenure. Thanks a lot to Darcy O'Connor for producing.
Yeah, Darcy.
And thank you so much to Rachel for being our guest today. We really
You're very welcome. Thank you. It's been great. Yeah, really nice to see you guys too.
Great.
Thank you.
So we'll see you live at 5 tomorrow afternoon. And until then, stay healthy and stay safe and happy Easter. See ya.
Remember to subscribe to this channel and click on the link in the description to see where you can donate, sign up for a Smitty's membership, or buy our records and merch. See you tomorrow. Thanks again.